Super Rugby, round number 9, the Saturday games, of which there are 4. We've got the majority of the South African conference teams in action, a couple of New Zealand teams, and a couple of Aussie teams as well. So it's a nice good mix for this Saturday. And yeah, a lot of teams with very, very similar records. 4 wins, 3 losses, 4 wins, 3 losses, 3 wins, 4 losses, 3 wins, 4 losses, 4 and 3, 4 and 3. Just the Chiefs and the Brumbies with the 2 wins. Chiefs slightly better with a draw rather than the 5 losses, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We will start with the first game, the Chiefs and the Blues in Hamilton. Remember, I am going down to Hamilton for this one. I will be taking a trip, leaving tomorrow morning, New Zealand time, to head down to Hamilton. So that should be interesting. My first time to go to that stadium there, so hopefully it is a good game. I'm not sure how the videos are going to work from Hamilton. I'm certainly not taking the whiteboard with me. So yeah, I have picked a hotel or a motel with Wi-Fi, so I'll see if I can get something up. But perhaps expect delays. Don't know how quick their internet's going to be. Not that the stuff in my home is anything flash. But yeah, Chiefs against Blues. I'll be down there with my Blues gear. It should be a bit of fun. The Chiefs have maintained a relatively stable lineup. Ta'avao has had to move to the loose head because it seems like they are having issues in that position with guys like, I mean, there's no Aiden Ross, no Kane Hames, Moley, O'Neill. Like, their propping ranks have been kind of disrupted, so they're a wee bit short there. Lalala and Harris are in with him in the front row. Retallick is back and he captains from lock, and Tyler Ardron's had to move to lock from number 8 because, again, they're a wee bit short in that area as well. Allardyce is out injured, so is Mitch Brown. So, seems to be the story of the seasons recently for the Chiefs. They have to manage the injuries. I mean, everybody does, but some teams seem to get it worse than others. The back line seems pretty stable, so you've got Brad Weber, Marty McKenzie, 9 and 10. ALB and Manu in the midfield, Alamalo, Wainui, and D-Mac at 15. So it's still a pretty tidy looking Chiefs team that should be doing better than 2 wins. We'll see if they can make it 3 against the Blues. For the Blues, they seem to be kind of going in for the kill here. They are on a 4-game winning run. They started the season pretty terribly with those 3 losses, and they're 4 on the trot now, including a win over a New Zealand team, so they should be confident. And yeah, any team that can get 4 wins in a row is doing something right. So they have put Tui Nukuafe and Tuangufasi in to start. They've previously been starting them from the bench. Likewise, Tuipulotu continues to start, although Kauli Tuioti gets a start this week. Dalton Papali'i gets a start because Blake Gibson's got all kinds of stitches in his leg, so those changes are there. Matt Duffy is on the bench, so we might get to see him for a change this season. Nonu still continues in the midfield. There's no Sonny Bill. He is out with knee surgery, I think, for like 6 weeks, so we're not going to be seeing him for a wee while either. It's still Otere Black ahead of Plummer, who's on the bench. Jonathan Ruru starts, so yeah. And the key point, I suppose, is they're playing Rico Ioane again, so they're not letting up. I know they're going to have to rest him at some point, but I guess the coach is saying we're on a 4-game run. Let's just try to keep that going. I can't remember the Blues last time they beat the Chiefs. I was at Eden Park when they got a draw a while back, but yeah, it's been a long, long time between drinks. I suppose in terms of their seasons, it would be a massive step forward for the Blues to get an away win over a Kiwi team, especially the Chiefs, because as I said, there's been pretty slim pickings in that area, so it would give people a fair bit more confidence in what the Blues are doing. I still think there's a wee bit of a lack of belief that the Blues can actually continue on. I guess that recent history kind of speaks to that. For the Chiefs, they need all the wins they can get, so they will be pumped up as well. The bookies have got the Chiefs by 5, so that kind of home advantage is doing it for them. And again, like I said, that recent history, they tend to get wins over the Blues most of the time. The next one is the Brumbies hosting the Lions. Brumbies have been a wee bit disappointing. Although they were somehow in the lead against the Crusaders for half a game in Christchurch last week, they still ended up losing that one. Just the 2 wins for them. The Lions, totally up and down, got pretty hammered last week at home. and now they're on their tour, so it could prove a testing time for them because they're in the positive territory at the moment, 4 wins and 3 losses. But if you add 4 away games onto that list, it could be 4 and 7 if they don't kind of buck their ideas up. They'll be definitely targeting the Brumbies as a game that they can get a win. The Brumbies need all the wins they can get. They're in a similar position to the Chiefs, having only won the 2 games so far this season. So it's a pretty key game for both. The Brumbies, you can kind of see that. They played a slightly weakened team against the Crusaders last week, but they've brought their Wallabies back in Scott Seo, Falau Fainga, Rory Arnold, Sam Carter. All these guys, I mean, Carter came off the bench last week, but these guys are all starting. Tom Wright is in at 12, but otherwise it's pretty stable. There's still no David Pocock, so they're kind of managing him week to week. Back row is still good with Samu, Cusack, and McCaffrey. Powell, Niliafano, 9 and 10. Kurandrani scored a good try last week, albeit in a kind of losing effort. He's at 13, so yeah, they're not going to roll over. The Lions have made a fair few changes. There's still no Quokka Smith, which is disappointing because he was really on fire at the start of the season. But you've got a few guys actually who I'm going to need some insights into from you Lions fans, because Nathan Macbeth starts at loose head. Don't know much about him. Malcolm Marks is still there. He's captain. Johannes Jonker is in on tight head. Levis, Daimani are in the back row. Nick Groom comes in at number 9 ahead of Ross Cronje. So another change. Kind of seems to be kind of week to week with the Lions. Apiwa Dianti is back on the wing rather than the midfield this week, so I guess it's a more familiar position for him in terms of Super Rugby level. Ruan Combrink is on the other wing. So Lionel Mapu is at 13. Yeah, it's a pretty tight looking Lions team. Interesting, Marnus Skuman is on the bench. He's been a bit of a firecracker this season as well for the Lions. So high pressure game. How well the Lions are going to travel, I don't know. I feel like, was it last season they got 1 win? Yeah, they'll be looking to go better than the Stormers anyway, because the Stormers have been off to a pretty poor start. Yeah, and like I said, the Brumbies will take any win, because otherwise they're just going to fall completely behind. The South African conference is still very tight, so the Lions probably could afford a loss, but like I said, they got 3 more away games coming up, so it is not going to be easy. The next one, the Sharks up against the Jaguares. All South African Conference matchup. I still have not updated the Jaguares logo. Apologies for that. I've been pretty busy. No excuses though. I said I would do it and I haven't quite done it. Although some of you have said you do prefer the old Jaguares logo to the new one. I'm inclined to agree, but I still should get it changed. Sharks. Anybody know which Sharks team is going to turn up this week? Me neither. Because they can go into Joburg and smash people, and then they can just... yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the Sharks. They are a very, very unpredictable team. But in saying that, I would have pretty much guaranteed them a victory over the Jaguares in South Africa before last week, because the Jaguares don't win in South Africa until last week when they got one over the Bulls. I guess they kept fighting to the 80th and they managed to get a result. They needed it as well because they were on the wrong side of the ledger. They're still 1 win away from getting to even standings, but yeah, it could have been worse. So in terms of the lineups, Thomas Dutoy comes in at tight head, and Juan Skuman comes in at loose head. He's replacing the Beast. I do not know a lot about him. Flip van der Walt is back in the back row, so that's good news. Also, Jean-Luc Duplessis, Jean-Luc Duprea is back. I got children running around over there if you can hear them. Jean-Luc is back from a long-term injury, so his brother starts at number 8, so he'll come on at some point. That's pretty awesome news for the Sharks to get those brothers all back in action. Rob Duprea still starts at 10. Kuan Bosch was amazing last week. He's still at 15, so it's a pretty stable lineup, apart from changing the 2 props and Flip van der Walt coming in. So yeah, the starting lineup is looking pretty stable. And Esterhuizen have been in good form. The wings, Mvovo and yeah, Mapimpi have been top class. So if the Sharks can do what we know they can do, they're going to make it a pretty tough one for the Jaguares. Connie Oosthuizen, Jacques Vermeulen and the Beast have all been rested, like I said. For the Jaguares, they've mixed things up a little bit. I guess the main change is Domingo Miotti starting at number 10. He's the guy who came off the bench last week and scored 2 tries. Pretty amazing debut. We'll see what he can do over a longer period, whether he gets an hour or the full 80 will be one to watch, because he looked pretty class on his debut. It doesn't get much better. Chaparro comes in at loose head. Lavanini's back. Crema moves to 7. Lezana is in. Boffelli has moved to the wing from fullback, so Tukale is at fullback. There's no Mojano this week. So that's a bit disappointing. I'm not sure whether he's injured or if it's just being rested. De La Fuente is still captain. So a few changes, but still much of that Argentinian team right there. So it's going to be a tough one for the Sharks if the Jaguares can continue some of that form they had last week. They certainly weren't on in their game for 80 minutes, but they brought it at the end. Apparently, I read that the Jaguares coach wasn't allowing the players to review too much of that Sharks game from last week because he was worried that they would kind of be downhearted with how good the Sharks were. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what I read. The Sharks were very good last week. Can they do that 2 weeks in a row? Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. The Sharks by 7 is what the bookies have got for that one. I forgot to mention for this one, it's the Brumbies by 4 points according to the bookies. So, yeah, home favourites in both of these cases. The last game is the Bulls up against the Reds. The Reds are actually three wins. Probably better than most expected them to be at this kind of point of the season, given how young that squad is. The Bulls, kind of like the Sharks, I'm pretty confused as to where they're at. They probably will be disappointed that they didn't pick up a result last week against the Jaguares. They're back at Loftus again. They will definitely be expected to get a result for this one because the bookies have got them by 13. So they're saying this is a game you should definitely be winning, perhaps even bonus point. But the Reds' defensive effort has been better, at least more consistent than it was last season. Sometimes last season the floodgates would just open. And if you are a Bulls fan, look at all these names that are back for this one. You'd probably close your eyes or your ears if you're a Reds fan, because Warwick Galant is back at fullback, Jesse Creel's back, Andre Pollard's back, Fonseca's back at number 9. That's neither here nor there whether you think that's an improvement over Papier. Van Staden's back. Achis Neyman is back. There's a lot of box back in that Bulls team, so they are going to be tough, one would imagine. Although, good news if you're a Reds fan, you can keep listening now. Dwayne Vermeulen is being rested, so that is one kind of bright spot for them. For the Reds, they've also changed things up a bit. Murphy starts at hooker, so Paenga Amosa is on the bench. Tupou, the Tongan Thor, is back tight head ahead of Ryan Smith, so they're kind of swapping places. Tupou has not been that good this season, so maybe he'll be a bit more up to scratch this week. Aiden Toa is starting on the wing. We saw a bit of him at fullback last season, so we'll see how he goes at number 11. Good news is Feo Waisatia is in the midfield, so he has been in top form. I think he was injured last week, but he's back, so he should be really good. Jack Hardy switches wings. He was on debut last week, so he's at the right wing this time. Hamish Stewart still at fullback. Yeah, you still got Duncan Paiawa on the bench. Jock Campbell is set for a Super Rugby debut if he comes on. I do not know a lot about him either, but I guess we will soon find out if he gets a game. But like I said, Bulls by 13, so predicted to be a comfortable one for the Bulls. Yeah. What do you guys think is going to happen in these games? You do let me know your thoughts. Any of those players I mentioned or other ones that I haven't mentioned that you're looking forward to seeing. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be in Hamilton, so how things go with the videos will be interesting. I'll try to get something done. While I'm down there, I'll definitely be taking perhaps not all of my gear, but at least a little bit. Take the computer down and the camera. Maybe just use a headset instead of taking the big microphone. But yeah, it should be a bit of fun. I'm sure the local fans will give me a bit of grief if the Blues lose, because I will be in the Blues gear. I'm still contemplating whether to take a Blues flag. I'll see if I can fit it in my bag. But yeah, should be a bit of fun anyway. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I will yeah, talk to you again soon. See you later.